Miss McGill, you've known the defendant for several years.
Yes.
And according to what I've read, you own an apartment building.
Correct.
And Miss Brunette does dog grooming. That's her profession. And you had used her for her dog grooming services. Became friends or whatever.
How fragile is the line between kindness and exploitation? How far can people go in convincing themselves when they believe they did nothing wrong? Just a rental apartment, a mutual aid relationship, an unneutered Shih Tzu, and a secret kept hidden for too long. It is precisely that smallness that makes this case terrifying, because it exposes a very familiar truth in social life. McGill walked into the courtroom. She did not appear as an angry plaintiff. On the contrary, she carried the air of a landlord who was once very trusting, once willing to loosen the rules, once allowing emotions to interfere with property relations. She told her story in an even voice, not dramatizing it, as if she herself had not yet fully realized that she had entered a serious legal dispute.
She was going through a difficult time. You allowed her to move into the apartment building and had what I would refer to as a loose relationship with regard to paying rent. She did some chores for you. If she was short 1 month, she would work it off by doing other things in addition to taking care of your dog.
2 years of renting out the apartment, unstable rent, working to make up for shortfalls, taking care of the dog, doing odd jobs, all based on personal trust with no clear legal boundaries. In the eyes of society, McGill is a familiar figure of someone well off, thinking that helping people in difficult times is the right thing to do, and believing that kindness will be repaid with kindness.
Okay, did you put her dog out for stud?
No, I didn't. There is only one time I did it, and I did it with her permission.
As for Brunette, she was the complete opposite in her appearance. She entered the courtroom with distinct confidence. Decisive answers, unwavering eye contact, a firm voice, all creating an initial impression that this is someone who knows where they stand. In the first few minutes, Brunette showed no signs of weakness. She spoke of her difficult circumstances, of working as a dog groomer, of caring for McGill's pets, of the verbal agreements that both understood. At this point, viewed from a social perspective, Brunette represents many people living in ambiguous relationships regarding rights and obligations, where law is replaced by emotion, and the boundary of what is allowed becomes flexible according to circumstances.
Now, what kind of dogs do you have?
Shih Tzu.
And the dog, I assume from your paperwork, has not been neutered.
No.
In any event, this is what your case is about.
Judge Judy, in the opening phase, showed no judgment. She asked seemingly innocuous questions. How long they had known each other, how the rental worked, what the rent was, what breed of dog was raised. Her slow, almost cold method of leading made both the plaintiff and the defendant feel they were being listened to. This was the very point that made Brunette become complacent. She believed her story was reasonable, that breeding the dog was just a way to manage finances during hard times, that McGill, who had once loosened rent requirements, would surely understand. But right here is where human psychology begins to slide. When Judge Judy asked about the unneutered Shih Tzu, she didn't ask with a moral voice, but with a purely legal voice.
And you said that that was done without your permission.
Correct.
The dog is property. Who is the owner? Who has the right to decide? And was that right ever transferred? McGill answered briefly, absolutely no permission given. Brunette, on the opposite side, began stepping into the danger zone of words.
Yes, I put her dog out for stud, but I had her permission.
But I had her permission.
Fine. Tell me when you did it, with whom, and tell me when the permission came about.
It was her idea to
Now,
start
don't tell me her idea. I don't want you to tell me what's in her head.
She didn't lie blatantly, but spoke by reinterpreting her feelings. It was her idea. We agreed. I thought it was allowed. And this is when Judge Judy began to peel back the layers. No raising her voice, no imposing.
Not they agreed. Did you introduce her to that person?
No.
So you can't say they agreed.
Nope.
So you never introduced them.
No.
She interrupted at the right moment, correcting every word, forcing Brunette to return to the naked truth of language. What did she say? Did you ask directly? Did you introduce the breeder to the dog owner? Every question was like a layer being peeled away. Brunette's initial confidence began to crack. not because she was being attacked, but because her own words no longer stood firm. Psychologically, Brunette was falling into a state of self-justification. She believed her goal was to pay rent, that earning $350 from breeding was reasonable, that difficult circumstances allowed her moral flexibility. This is a common psychological mechanism. When humans face financial pressure, they tend to redefine the boundaries of right and wrong to reduce guilt. In Brunette's mind, she didn't steal the right to decide, but merely took advantage of an opportunity. McGill, conversely, began to show a belated hurt. She not only lost control of her property, but also lost trust. The moment she spoke of randomly meeting a stranger and being told, "We are related because your dog is the father of the puppies," carried immense psychological significance. That was not just discovering an unauthorized act, but the moment a secret was exposed, something she should never have learned in that way. For McGill, the feeling of betrayal was greater than the material loss.
I actually don't know anything about what she's saying. I did try to help her become self-sufficient.
Now listen to me. I don't care about your story. I don't care what a good person you are, that you let her come into your home, that you let her slide on rent. I don't care. I just care about whether she said to you, "I'm short on rent, can I stud your dog?" Did you ever say that to her?
No.
Just one word. But that was the moment the entire system of self-justification collapsed. All previous stories, circumstances, intentions, tacit agreements became meaningless before the legal truth. There was no explicit permission. Judge Judy didn't need to raise her voice to conclude. She shifted to damages, to the apartment left in a terrible state, to the fact that Brunette had only 3 days to move out, a detail showing the relationship had completely broken down.
Yes, I did leave it like that, but I had 3 days to move out. I can't clean an apartment in 3 days and get my stuff out.
You owe $350. $350 is the stud fee that you collected, and $2,000 to clean up after your mess. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's it.
The judgment of $350 for the stud fee and $2,000 for cleaning was not just numbers. It was the final boundary the law erected to end a relationship that had spiraled out of emotional control. From a social perspective, this case reflects a very common problem. When people replace contracts with trust, they often underestimate the risks. McGill represents those who believe that helping people is right, but forget that property is still property. Brunette represents those who believe circumstances can justify behavior, but forget that ownership rights never automatically transfer. Judge Judy, in the role of a neutral narrator, did not side with any emotion. She only emphasized a cold but necessary principle. Emotions can explain behavior, but never legalize it. Viewers who have watched Judge Judy long enough will certainly recognize a familiar pattern in how she dissects the truth. She rarely attacks directly from the start. Instead, she often lets the parties tell their stories confidently, even at length, comfortably, as if they are in complete control of the proceedings. And in this lawsuit, Judy went even further. In the first half of the trial, she almost retreated from the role of the powerful judge, yielding the floor for Brunette to build her own image. A struggling woman managing to survive, believing she had tacit consent from the landlord. That relative silence of Judy inadvertently fueled the defendant's confidence. Brunette not only answered, but also interpreted, speculated, and attributed intentions to others, things a regular Judge Judy watcher should have been wary of. But this is the familiar psychological trap Judy sets. When Brunette had gone far enough in her story, when the audience began to waver between sympathy and suspicion, Judy began to narrow the linguistic space. She didn't refute emotions, didn't deny circumstances, but shifted the entire focus to the structure of speech. Who said what? When it was said, was it spoken in words or just inferred? Every question from Judy at this point was no longer investigative, but exclusionary, eliminating what was not legal truth. And the reversal happened at the seemingly smallest minute, when she forced Brunette to answer yes or no to a single question. Did she ever ask for permission directly? That very moment of no caused the entire story Brunette had painstakingly built to collapse in seconds. That is why Judge Judy becomes special in the eyes of longtime viewers. She doesn't win by overpowering, but by patience, not by emotion, but by structure, not by judging people, but by judging words. She understands that humans can confuse emotions, can deceive themselves about motives, but language when forced into a legal framework will betray the speaker. And in this case, Judy didn't just try a civil dispute, but demonstrated a vivid lesson on how the truth is often not defeated, but collapses under the weight of its own excessive justifications. Society does not operate on intentions, but on boundaries. Kindness is not wrong, but kindness is not protected by law if it lacks a clear structure. Pitiful circumstances may make others sympathize, but cannot erase personal responsibility. The case of the guy, or rather, the case of the dog, is not a story of absolute right or wrong, but a story of how people gradually slide past small boundaries until they no longer realize they have gone too far. When the courtroom closed, no one truly won. McGill got her money back, but lost her trust. Brunette lost money, lost her housing, and perhaps lost faith in the flexibility she once believed was reasonable. As for the audience, if they look deep enough, they will realize that the biggest lesson lies not in the verdict, but in the question everyone should ask themselves. If a boundary is not spoken, does it actually exist?